African leaders arrived in Russia for a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin as he seeks allies amid the military operation in Ukraine. At the summit, Putin told the President of the African Union that Russia was counting on the African Union obtaining full membership of the G20 in September. Putin has billed the two-day summit in St. Petersburg as a major event that would help bolster ties with a continent of 1.3 billion people that is increasingly assertive on the global stage. And at the ongoing Russia-Africa Forum, Russian President Vladimir Putin told African leaders he would gift them tens of thousands of tons of grain within months. He said this would be done despite Western sanctions making it harder for Moscow to export its grain and fertilizers. Putin said that Russia will honor its critical role in global food security, responding to Western criticism of the decision to quit the Black Sea grain deal. He reiterated that Moscow's conditions about facilitating its own exports had not been met. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu met the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to mark the 70th anniversary of the Korean War armistice. In a tour of the arms exhibition, Kim Jong-un showcased some of North Korea's banned ballistic missiles and briefed Shoigu on national plans to expand the country's military capabilities. Shoigu handed him a letter from Russian President Vladimir Putin, and during their meeting, Moscow and Pyongyang pledged to boost strategic and traditional ties. Both nations also reached a consensus on matters of mutual concern in the fields of national defense and regional security. A Chinese delegation also arrived in Pyongyang for the 70th anniversary commemoration of the Korean War. The delegation from Beijing was led by Chinese Communist Party leader Li Hongzhong. China and Russia are the first to send foreign delegations to North Korea since the onset of the pandemic. The visits come as Pyongyang looks to deepen its ties with Beijing and Moscow as well, finding common ground in their rivalries with Washington, D.C. and the West. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has left New Zealand and is now bound for Australia. Earlier in the day, he met New Zealand Foreign Minister and also the Prime Minister in Wellington after an official welcome ceremony. The visit comes as Australia and New Zealand expressed concerns about a new policing agreement between China and the Solomon Islands. The Chinese agreement could potentially undermine the Pacific's agreed regional security norms. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin also arrived in Australia after a visit to Papua New Guinea. Earlier, Austin met Papua New Guinea Prime Minister James Marape to strengthen military, diplomatic and defense ties in the Pacific. As the United States competes with China for influence in the region, Austin and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken are now in Brisbane for annual bilateral talks with their Australian counterparts. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said that he would meet the two senior U.S. officials on Friday. French President Emmanuel Macron denounced quote-unquote new imperialism in the Pacific during a landmark visit to the region. He warned of a threat to the sovereignty of smaller states and the island state of Vanuatu. Macron said, and I'm quoting here, "There is the Indo-Pacific and particularly in Oceania new imperialism appearing and a power logic that is threatening the sovereignty of several states, the smallest often the most fragile." Taiwan's military conducted anti-amphibious landing drills on a beach near Taipei. The drills simulated a Chinese attack on the island. The exercise is part of Taiwan's week-long massive war games as Beijing ramps up military and political pressures on the island. Fresh instances of arson were reported from violence-hit Indian state of Manipur. On Wednesday, a mob set at least 30 homes and shops ablaze in Manipur's Moreh district. This included a forest department guest house. The arson took place in Moreh Bazaar area, which is close to the Myanmar border. Officials say that a gun battle took place following the arson. Security forces intervened and dispersed the mob before the situation could get worse. Now, this comes a day after two buses used by the security forces were set on fire by a mob. At least 9 people, including a minor, were arrested in connection with the incident of torching the buses. Now, in a sudden coup, Niger soldiers have claimed to overthrow President Mohamed Bazoum's government. This was announced by a group of soldiers who appeared on Niger's national television hours after the president was taken hostage inside the presidential palace. Currently, Niger's borders are closed, curfew has been declared, and all state institutions have been suspended. President Bazoum said that the national army shall be ordered to move in if the rebels do not come to their senses. Bazoum's supporters protested outside the National Assembly and called for the president's release. Indonesian President Joko Widodo arrived in southwest China. He was given a rousing welcome at the Chengdu Tianfu International Airport by Chinese officials. Widodo is due to attend the opening ceremony of the 31st summer edition of the FISU World University Games. The games are set to open on Friday, that is tomorrow, and will last until August 8th. They will feature about 269 events across 18 sports. In Brazil, a riot broke out in Amaro Branco prison, leaving at least 3 injured. According to a government report, the riot began when inmates in an isolation pavilion took two police officers hostage. Visitations to the prison are suspended as of now, and also as families wait for responses from authorities. In Pakistan, a sex and drugs scandal has rocked the Islamia University. As per police, university staffers and faculty members were purchasing narcotics and distributing the banned substances with the help of students. The staffers and faculty members were also exploiting and blackmailing female students, which is why police have flagged sex parties. Pakistan National Assembly Standing Committee on Education is probing the matter, but the university is reportedly crying foul. The build-up to the Paris Olympics now enters its final year. The countdown clock installed at the foot of the Eiffel Tower in Paris marks 1 year to go until the 2024 Olympic Games. Marking the occasion, International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach said that the preparations were well on track. The event follows the unveiling of the Eiffel Tower-inspired torch for the Olympic Games. The Mega Millions lottery in the US is approaching the valuation of a staggering $1 billion. The jackpot is now at $910 million after 28 consecutive drawings without a big winner. Now millions of Americans are lining up at convenience stores and gas station counters hoping to crack the lottery. The one-time cash prize is at $464 million. The last winner won $20 million in April. The current jackpot is slated to be the fifth highest in Mega Millions history. The highest jackpot was more than $1.5 billion in 2018. Now on to some climate and weather updates. Typhoon Doksuri has killed at least 6 people in the Philippines and is lashing towards Taiwan. Taiwan shut several businesses and schools. Airlines cancelled hundreds of flights amid warning of landslides and floods. Doksuri was a super typhoon earlier, but lost some of its strength after hitting Philippines coast. Wildfires continue to spread across central Greece and destroyed farms and factories. Uncleared land and trees helped the fire reach the area. Residents claim that the calamity was brought on by a lack of public authority. The fire brigade said that over 61 wildfires erupted in the last 24 hours across Greece. Officials ordered the evacuation of several communities in the hard-hit areas of Magnesia. Now, at least 3 people have been killed in Greece's Rhodes Island wildfire, yet there is no end to it in sight. Firefighters continue to battle on several fronts to contain the blazes. More than 30,000 foreign visitors and locals have fled their homes and seaside hotels over the weekend. This is being called one of the worst wildfires Greece has ever seen. The most recent country to be hit by wildfires is Turkey, as efforts to contain the fire continue. Water-dropping planes, helicopters and firefighters were deployed to fight blazes that broke out in a forest in Istanbul, where the temperature soared to 43 degrees Celsius. Turkey's largest city was experiencing one of the hottest days of the season. Exciting developments in India's space program. Indian government is planning to privatize parts of its small satellite launch vehicle and has drawn interest from 20 companies. The SSLV, known for its low-cost approach to launching satellites, has already seen success with its first satellite launch earlier this year. Now, this bid marks India's first major privatization effort in the space sector, and the selected bidder will get the chance to take over manufacturing and development of the SSLV rocket program, aiming to make India a global hub for small satellite launches. India's private lenders are facing a tough challenge as attrition rates rise amid surging demand for loans and competition in the market. Now, this demand is putting immense pressure on frontline staffers, leading to a worrying increase in employee turnover. HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank and Yes Bank have all reported significant attrition rates, causing concerns about mis-selling and service disruptions. In a significant step for the cryptocurrency industry, a key congressional committee in the United States has approved a bipartisan bill aimed at establishing a regulatory framework for digital assets. The bill would clarify whether a cryptocurrency is considered a security or a commodity and expand oversight by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and the Securities and Exchange Commission. While some Democrats oppose the bill, its passage in the House Financial Services Committee marks a victory for crypto advocates seeking regulatory clarity. The US economy is projected to avoid a recession. This is according to the latest estimates by the Congressional Budget Office. Despite higher interest rates and a pickup in unemployment impacting consumers, GDP is expected to rise steadily from a 0.4% annual rate in the second half of this year. Inflation is also predicted to cool down through 2025. Resilient labour markets and a strong services sector have contributed to the economy's expansion. Most economists now believe that the chances of a recession in the next 12 months are 50% or less.